Walter White told you it was about the cancer, about the family, about survival. That was the first lie, and you believed it for 5 seasons. What Breaking Bad showed you was a transformation, a good man, breaking. That narrative was a mechanism, engineered, deliberate, designed to make you mourn a monster and call it tragedy. Here is the question this video was built to answer. What if Walter White never broke bad? What if he simply stopped pretending to be good? And the most disturbing part? The evidence was always there, hiding in plain sight, in every scene, every choice, every smile. We will get to that. Walter White never broke bad. He simply stopped pretending to be good, and the world called it a tragedy because the pretense had been so convincing. Here is what Breaking Bad was actually built to make you ignore. The Walter White illusion, the lie the story needed you to believe. We were introduced to a man, ordinary, contained, diminished, a chemistry teacher, a car wash employee, a husband who flinched at the word gambling. The architects of this story were very deliberate about what they showed you first, not the brilliance, not the ambition, the humiliation. Because a man you pity, you will forgive, and a man you forgive, you will follow. Into darkness, past every warning sign, past every red flag, past every body. Imagine a man who has spent 50 years being made to feel small. Now imagine that smallness was not something done to him. Imagine it was something he chose. Because a man who chooses his own cage, chooses it for a reason. Gray Matter Technologies, a company Walt co-founded, a fortune he walked away from. The story presented this as a wound inflicted upon him, a tragedy of circumstance. But here is the suppressed mechanism hiding inside that story. Walt was offered full financial coverage for his cancer treatment by Elliot Schwartz, immediately, generously. He refused it. A man desperate to provide for his family does not refuse a lifeline. A man with a plan refuses everything that interrupts it. Think about the implications of what you are watching in that RV. Those hands do not shake. Those hands do not hesitate. This is not a man learning something new. This is a man remembering something old. The infrastructure of Heisenberg was never built in the desert. It was already complete. The desert just gave it room to stand. The Walter White illusion was this, that the cancer created the monster, that desperation unlocked the darkness, that a good man, pushed far enough, becomes something unrecognizable. Every part of that reading was engineered for your comfort, because the chilling reality, the one buried beneath 5 seasons of transformation mythology, is far more disturbing. Walter White was never good. He was managed. The evidence of deceit, what was always there if you knew where to look. Forensics. That is what this chapter is. Not theory, not speculation. Evidence. Hidden in plain sight. In scenes you have already watched. In moments you already loved. Begin here. A man sits at a table. Before him, the broken fragments of a plate. He is deciding whether to kill someone chained in his basement. Watch how he decides. He does not pray. He does not weep. He sorts. He arranges the broken pieces, by size, by shape, by threat potential, with the same spatial precision he uses to arrange chemical compounds in a laboratory. The predatory mechanism was always biological. It was simply chemistry, applied to a human variable. Lily of the valley, a flowering plant, beautiful, domestic, ordinary, growing quietly in a family backyard, in the same soil where children's toys are scattered at the edge of frame. Walt used this plant to poison a child, Brock Cantillo, 8 years old, not because he was desperate, not because he had no other option, because it was the most efficient mechanism available. But here is the suppressed detail the narrative hoped you would not examine. Walt did not find this plant. He did not acquire it in a panic. He did not buy it days before he needed it. He grew it in his own garden, watered it, tended it, nurtured it, over time. You do not cultivate a weapon in the soil your children play upon, unless on some level you have always known you would eventually use it. The garden was never domestic. It was the laboratory's annex. Imagine a man cursed to spend his entire life performing a role that was 2 sizes too small. Every gesture, managed. Every word, measured. Every ambition, compressed into a classroom that smelled of chalk and institutional disappointment. Now watch him in the super lab. The body language is not similar to a man who has found his calling. It is identical to a man who has returned to it. "I am the one who knocks," widely celebrated as Walt's most powerful declaration, his most authentic moment. But watch the staging. Not Walt's face, Skylar's. Walt has positioned himself between his wife and the exit. His hands are relaxed. His breathing is controlled. His voice is not raised. This monologue was rehearsed, not improvised, not erupted, rehearsed. A man in genuine emotional breakthrough does not manage his blocking, but a predatory mechanism, delivering a performance to a captive audience. Every word lands exactly where it was aimed. The kitchen was always a stage. Skylar was always the audience. And Walter White had been waiting 50 years for someone to finally sit still long enough to hear his actual voice. Jane Margolis, Jesse's girlfriend, 27 years old. She choked on her own vomit. Walt was in the room. Walt watched her die. The narrative framed this as paralysis, a man frozen by an impossible choice. But paralysis looks like averted eyes, turned backs, hands pressed to ears. Walt did not look away. He adjusted his position to see more clearly. That is not a man overwhelmed by what he is witnessing. That is a scientist observing an experiment, ensuring it reaches its correct conclusion without contamination. The chilling reality. Jane's death was not a consequence of Walt's darkness. It was a demonstration of it. And after it was over, he went home, made breakfast, sent his son to school. The breaking point. The moment the truth almost surfaced and was buried. Every story has a moment where the suppressed truth nearly breaks through, where the infrastructure holding the deception in place strains, where the volatile architecture of the conspiracy threatens to collapse and reveal what was always underneath. In Breaking Bad, that moment was not a single scene, it was a single frame. Gus Fring is dead, and Walter White is watching the aftermath. The narrative tells you Walt is relieved, survival, safety, his family protected. But relief does not look like that. Satisfaction does. This was the moment the architects of the deception almost lost control of the story. Because in this frame, in this single, unguarded frame, the mechanism is fully visible. Walt is not a man who survived. He is a predator who won. Ozymandias. The episode named after the Shelley poem about a fallen empire, a king who built monuments, convinced they would outlast him. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. The narrative presented this episode as Walt's ultimate defeat, the collapse of everything he built, the consequences arriving in full. But examine what Walt does. In the immediate aftermath of Hank's death, he rolls a barrel of money across the desert, alone, methodical, focused, not weeping, not broken, problem-solving. Think about the implications of that image. His brother-in-law is dead, his family is gone, his empire has collapsed, and the first thing Walter White does is secure the assets. Because empires are not built by men who stop when they lose people. They are built by men who stop for nothing at all. Here is the moment the story was most desperate to conceal. Not Hank's death, not Jane, not the poisoned child. This, a dying man, alone, in a meth superlab, smiling, not at peace with what he has done, not redemptive, not resigned, satisfied. The architects of this story wanted you to read this smile as bittersweet, a man accepting his fate, finding meaning in his craft, even at the end. But a man dying in tragedy does not smile like that. Only a man dying exactly where he always belonged smiles like that. Walt did not die in his family home. He did not die asking forgiveness. He did not die holding his son's hand. He died in the one room that was ever truly his, and he died satisfied. This was the suppressed climax, the chilling reality the 5-season narrative was constructed to prevent you from reaching. Not that Walter White died a broken man, but that Walter White died a complete one. The chilling aftermath, what it means that we mourned him. Walter White is dead, and somewhere in Europe, the blue meth is not. His product, 99.1% pure, identifiable by its blue hue, spread beyond New Mexico, beyond America, into European markets, into the nervous systems of thousands of people who will never know his name. The architects of this story framed that as a consequence, a cautionary detail, the collateral damage of one man's ambition. But examine the mechanism more carefully. Walt knew this would happen. Walt built this to happen. A 99.1% pure product does not accidentally become a global brand. That is engineering. That is protocol. That is a man who understood, from the very beginning, that the only legacy worth building is one that outlasts the builder. Ozymandias built monuments of stone. Walter White built his monument into human biology, into addiction, into the chemistry of craving. And it is still standing. Imagine a man who spent his entire life being erased, by circumstance, by ego, by a world that did not recognize his value. Now imagine that man discovers, late, terminally, with nothing left to perform, that the only authentic version of himself is predatory. What does that man do with the years he has left? He does not waste them on redemption. He invests them in legacy. I did it for me. I liked it. I was good at it. And I was really alive. The world received this as Walt's redemption, his final, honest act, the moment the mask finally fell. But here is the final conspiratorial link, the last thread, the one that unravels everything. Walt tells this truth, when the truth costs him nothing. He is dying. He has no leverage left. His empire is ash. His family is gone. The only thing left to manage is how he is remembered. And so he confesses, clearly, calmly, without trembling, not because he is broken, because he is, for the last time, authoring the narrative. The confession was the final performance, the last exhibit in Heisenberg's gallery. Truth, delivered at the right moment, by the right man, is the most sophisticated form of manipulation that exists, and Walter White knew that. He had always known that. We return to the beginning, the mirror, the man, the blank expression you watched in the opening frame of this video. You see it differently now. That is not a man staring at his own defeat. That is not a man made small by the world. That is a man reviewing a performance, deciding, with the cool assessment of a chemist reviewing a synthesis, whether it is time to end it. The cancer did not create Heisenberg. The cancer dissolved Walter White. And what remained? What had always been there beneath the beige uniform and the car wash rag and the 50 years of manufactured mediocrity was exactly what you saw in that desert, in that lab, in that smile. The mask did not fall at the end. It was never a mask. Power does not corrupt, it reveals. And the most disturbing truth this story contains is not that a man became a monster. It is that the monster was entirely indistinguishable from a good man for 50 years, which means the question was never about Walter White. The question, the one you should be sitting with right now, is this. Was Walter White a man who chose to stop pretending, or was he proof that some people never had anything to pretend with? Leave your answer below. The comments are open, and I want to know, which version disturbs you more? Smash like, subscribe. The Pulse has more dark truths waiting, and they are all hiding in plain sight. The mask didn't fall. It was always his face.